We are officially 76 days away from kickoff, and you wouldn't know it because we've got a great show for you tonight. This is the Volatile Podcast, your weekly reminder that being a Vols fan is a terminal diagnosis that we all share. I'm Mac Williams, and I'm joined by my good friends Nick Duncan and Joe Davis, and possibly Jeff Wright. We'll see if he jumps on. Joe, how are you doing tonight, man?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Looking forward to another great podcast, and especially our new segment, Rocky Top Roots. Sure, Nick's got a good one picked out for us. Do have a few things I want to defend myself on for the previous podcast.
We can't even get through the introductions.
Sure, we'll get there. Sure, we'll get there. Doing great. Glad to be back.
I'm intrigued. What are you defending yourself on already?
Well, first of all, I don't have some secret love affair with Auburn. My heart beats for Tennessee. Okay, I bleed orange and white. I don't appreciate even the insinuation that I might be unfaithful to my first love. It just so happens that the people that we hate are also a lot of the people that they hate. That's a co-belligerency. That's not a love affair, and I don't appreciate the slanderous comments while I was gone. Okay.
Hey, I'm equal opportunity. I called Nick a closet West Virginia fan.
You did. That feels less insulting, though. I don't know.
I think it's more insulting, frankly, but
it's not true.
Was there something else, Joe, or is that it?
I'm sure. I'm sure as I think, I'm sure it'll come up.
You're like mentally reviewing the tape. You're like going through the entire episode.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh,
You did this. You started it. I was not going to do this. You did it. So also, I don't appreciate because you know that I'm a fan of the Smoky Grays, and you two got together and trashed the Smoky Grays. I'm not saying. Okay. Oh my gosh.
Garbage.
Libel.
Not good. Bad jerseys.
Unbelievable.
Blacks are better, but also just wear orange.
Ship already sailed, so I guess that's just the way it goes. So needed to be here, wasn't here. Guess it's on me. Glad to be back.
Nick, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, and I'm not upset about anything that anyone's ever slandered me about. So,
question for the audience: is that an Ole Miss shirt that you're wearing?
Me? No, this is a Star Wars Rebel shirt.
Okay, I've never seen Star Wars, so I'm waiting for the books to come out. All right.
We got Yoda, we got Chewie, Han, and Luke. So, no.
Okay, I just saw Rebels, and I was like, gotta ask,
No, good question, but no. I do not have a secret love affair with Ole Miss. So,
perfect.
Just to put that to bed.
Question to consider for later episodes. What is a team that if you secretly had a crush on, you would be disqualified from being a host on the show?
Alabama, Florida, Georgia.
Easy. Vandy.
The big three, Vandy
Kentucky.
for sure.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone in the old East.
Yeah.
Is easy.
Do you consider Missouri the old East?
No.
Because they were in the East, which divisions in general is now old.
Yeah, but if you had a secret crush on Missouri, you'd be disqualified for being an absolute moron. So
I don't. You would be an absolute moron, but I wouldn't be like, oh, you're disqualified. I mean, Missouri's like whatever. Who cares?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like if your grandpa was like from Missouri, and so you like had a Missouri shirt.
Don't. What about what if me here? Don't do that.
I'm saying,
go ahead.
No, I'm saying like if your grandpa was from Missouri and you had a Missouri shirt because of that, that would not be disqualifying. But like if my favorite uncle in the world was a diehard Georgia fan, and I wouldn't be caught dead in a Georgia shirt.
Yeah,
even though I love him.
Here's the thing, boys. It doesn't even have to be family. If you grew up watching Chase Daniels and Jeremy Maclin, you might secretly have a Missouri. I liked Missouri as like a 12-year-old. Like they were cool to watch. They were good. So like they were fine. Like I don't like Missouri. Like if I was going to pick a different SEC team, my answer's always been Auburn. It always will be Auburn. So like I'm there, but like Missouri was a good team when we were young or when I was young. And so like I think they're fine,
All right. I concede. Nick, how are you?
I'm doing great, guys. Yeah. Couldn't be better.
Would LSU be like because I kind of hate LSU.
Oh yeah. That one's tough. I would say.
Arkansas. I hate Arkansas too.
Arkansas is disqualifying.
Yeah.
I would say LSU is disqualifying too. Shout out to our friend who has an affinity for LSU.
Yeah, shout out. If you're listening to this, Mr. Arizona, you know who we're talking to. You suck. I'm glad you moved. Get out of here.
That's great. Oh, that's great.
I hope he listens to this. He probably won't. All right, boys. Well, this is a good long intro. Jeff's not even here to say something negative about Danny White. We still went 5 minutes on the intro. So
this is going to be a record. This one's going to be a record for no Danny White
slander.
Yeah. I don't know if it's slander, but it's usually pretty true. But.
That's fair. Well, let's get into some latest news. We are recording this a little bit later than normal, listeners, so just be aware this news is probably really old. You've probably heard a lot about it, but hopefully we can give you some fresh takes on it. Latest news in football here is Vols secure the commitments of Kenneth Simon II and Kamari Hudson. These two guys are pretty highly touted recruits, Kamari Hudson being an offensive lineman, Kenneth Simon II being a linebacker or maybe something else. We don't fully know. So the first note I had on here, and this is really the biggest thing I wanted to talk about, and I would love to hear Nick actually give some good content regarding the players. So Kenneth Simon II, Kenny, commonly referred to, is the son of VFL Kevin Simon. So can someone please explain to me, like I'm 5, the fact that his dad's name is Kevin M. Simon and his son is Kenneth Simon II? How does that work?
I have no idea. My best guess is maybe his name is Kevin, but they call him Kenny to differentiate. But everything that I have looked up just says Kenneth Simon II. So.
Yeah, I'm really confused about this, and I kind of hate it.
It's my best guess is they don't call him Junior because they call him Kenny instead. I don't know how Kenny is short for Kevin, so I don't really understand it. Unless maybe that was his grandpa's name.
But you can't just be a second if it was your grandpa's name.
I don't know. I don't
That's
know
not
the
how
rules.
That works.
I don't know
That's
the
not
rules.
How that works.
I don't know. He's from Brentwood, and he's a 4-star, and he's coming to Tennessee over offers from Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Florida, to name a few. So
good list. Big list guy over here.
Yeah. Kamari Hudson, by the way, is he's a 3-star, but his composite on 247 is a 4-star. Coming to us over not as great a list: Virginia Tech, Cincinnati, Kentucky, and Maryland.
Hey, as long as he's got a 5-star heart, that's what we care about, right?
God.
Oh my grief! Can we be positive tonight? Can we not do that?
No, no, we will not.
Everybody's feeling pretty good, and we're like, let's open up some old wounds.
Oh gosh, it's critical.
Yes. Yeah, I heard Kamari Hudson has great eye discipline.
Oh gosh. Geez. No new basketball news. Basketball is kind of quiet. Obviously excited about the team this year. Baseball. This is old news, but we haven't had a chance to talk about it. Jay Abernathy commits to Oklahoma, who might be your national champion tomorrow night. We'll see.
Could be. Rubber match.
So yeah. I was I guess glad to see North Carolina win a game just to give us one more night of college baseball.
Absolutely.
I guess I want Oklahoma to win. I don't really like either team, but
I'm going to break my heart. Yeah. It's not Georgia, so.
Yeah, that's true. I did want to take just a second, since we don't really have much like specific Vols football, like current news to talk about, or any other news. Do you guys, like, how shocked were you that Oklahoma, beat Georgia? Georgia beat Texas. Like, this seems like it's played out in a way that we didn't expect. So I'm assuming you guys are pretty shocked by that.
I'm pretty shocked by it.
Yeah,
Oklahoma did play good baseball, down the stretch the last month of the year. But I guess just because we beat them in a series right before the playoffs, probably colored my view of them quite a bit. And I don't know, man. They've just hit the ball like crazy, and good for them. They've just got hot at the right time, and Georgia cooled off just enough for some teams to get by them. So, yeah, it's pretty shocking, but that's why you play the game. It's great.
Yeah.
And North Carolina didn't even have to beat Ole Miss. Ole Miss lost their first 2 games.
Wild,
crazy.
Wild. I really thought because of that Oklahoma would beat them 2 in a row. I was pretty shocked North Carolina won today. Oklahoma had like 14 hits yesterday and then only 4 today. So
yeah.
North Carolina pitching staff held them down.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes tomorrow. I do think North Carolina has a better bullpen and has better arms left. So I kind of feel like North Carolina might do it. But if Oklahoma comes out and hits the ball, like, you're not going to beat them. So,
Yeah.
Well, on to the main event tonight. Not the main event, but one of our main events, which is Mount Rushmore. So tonight we are going to be doing an all-time University of Tennessee Mount Rushmore. So these are 4 figures that would go on your theoretical Tennessee Mount Rushmore. They could be players, coaches, ADs, whoever. And this is just like top 4 Tennessee figures of all time. So I think there are 2 that are probably on all 3 of our lists. So I want to start there and see if we have these 2 if we all have these 2. Okay. Yeah. So the first one that's on mine, and I'm assuming is on your 2, which I'll be excited if it's not, just because it's more content talked about. But the first one that I put on there was the person who we're talking about tonight in Rocky Top Roots, which is General Robert Neyland. Is that on everyone's Mount Rushmore?
Yes.
Yeah, he was my
he's number 1
non-player that I picked.
Yes. So I think that he's obvious, and we'll get into why he's so obvious later tonight. So stay tuned to the podcast as we get to the Rocky Top Roots here in a little while. So let's move on from that one, because I figured we'd all have that one. The second one that I think we'll all have, and I want to see if Joe can guess it, because I'm sure we all have it. Joe, who's the second person that should be on your Mount Rushmore?
See, this is where you guys are better with the history of the
Don't
program
overthink
than
it.
I am.
Don't overthink it.
Low-hanging fruit.
I would assume Peyton Manning.
Yes, that's the second one.
Correct.
Peyton Manning is the second one. Okay, so I think those 2 are like inarguable. If your list doesn't have those 2 guys on it, you have a stupid list. So those are the 2. So now this is where it gets interesting. Joe, give us whoever your next person is.
So this was a really, first of all, great question, Mac. Props to you, because this is a fun one to think about. So all of my picks are kind of football related. General, Peyton. I think the next person that is, I'm going kind of just from prolific prominence, would be Reggie White. So I picked the Minister of Defense himself. And again, for the listener, if this hasn't been made clear to you, I was introduced to Tennessee fandom pretty late, because I moved to Tennessee in my adult years. And so when I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking, kind of from a broader, I'd have to go back and look at film, to look at how Reggie White played, but
very good.
Was obviously an incredible player, had a great career, even after his stint in Tennessee. Yeah. And so, just talking about, prolific players, Reggie White. Now, my last pick was
don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Okay.
Nick, did you have Reggie White on your Mount Rushmore?
He is number 3.
Okay, wow. You guys are in alignment there. I did not have Reggie White on my Mount Rushmore. He is an alternate for mine. Okay. So I'll go ahead and give my third, since he was Nick's third. So first of all, regarding Reggie White, I think that Reggie White is a great pick and definitely deserving of being on there. I'll give my third, and then I'll explain why. So my third I put was Pat Summitt. And so I obviously think that if you walk down and polled like 100 Americans, Family Feud style, I think Reggie White is a more common household name across the nation than Pat Summitt is. However, I think that in terms of like their impact on the university and like what they accomplished, Reggie White was limited because he could only play for 4 years. Pat Summitt was here for a really long time, and she won 8 national championships. So like she is the most successful coach that's ever been on campus at Tennessee. Now, obviously, it's girls basketball, whatever. But to Joe's point that you already said, like the height of Tennessee basketball was long before you moved here. So like you wouldn't have even grown up in the culture, Joe, of like how big women's basketball was in the state of Tennessee. And it's only that way because Pat Summitt made it that way. So I have Pat Summitt. I was a little bit embarrassed to put that on there because I despise women's basketball now, but I think she is like belonging on the list. So that was my third.
That's a great pick. I guess that's kind of you articulated when I read the question. Like that's kind of how I was trying to think through it. Was like, do you pick people who kind of transcend the university itself and kind of are like the household name,
right.
or do you focus on like who had the most dramatic impact on the university? And those are kind of two different ways to approach the question. So
yeah,
I think it's a solid pick. I don't think it's a bad one.
Yeah, and that's why I think that Neyland and Peyton Manning are the top two inarguable, because like not only did Peyton Manning have a great career at Tennessee and is like a huge, just what's the word I'm looking for? Like he's someone who still represents the university well, but not only that, but he had a great NFL career and he's like a household name for reasons beyond being at Tennessee. So that's why he's obvious. And then Neyland the same way. Like now you could argue that like if it wasn't called Neyland Stadium, I don't know how much of the country would know that name, even though they should. But I think obviously Robert Neyland's like a given. So that was my third. Nick, why don't you give us your fourth?
Pat Summitt.
Okay. Well, there you go. Beautiful. Joe, what was your fourth?
So I was really tempted to do this. Before I give my fourth, I'll do a quick alternate. Because the way the question was phrased was, who is on your Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, yours.
And so I was really tempted to put Juwan Jennings on there. He doesn't belong with any of the two tests that we just put out there, right? Like he doesn't have the most dramatic impact on the program. He's not like the most prolific player who ever played at Tennessee, and he's not having like he plays in the NFL, but like he's not like the a premier standout household name kind of wide receiver in the NFL. But Juwan Jennings is like the first, when I started really watching Tennessee, like he was the first player that I immediately was like, oh, this guy's my guy. Like I loved watching him play, and like he was on the team like the first years that I started watching Tennessee football. So he has just like a real special, kind of holds a special place in my own fandom experience. So he's kind of like my alternate, but my fourth was Eric Berry.
Nice,
good pick.
Nice, I like that. I like that. He's so I guess I picked him because he's like the most beloved. I mean, Peyton Manning is like the most like revered player. When I talk to Tennessee fans, like he like holds the most reverence. But when people talk about who they love, right? Like they just love Eric Berry. Like he was a great guy, great player. Right.
Like there's just kind of a, he's kind of synonymous with the program. So he's my fourth.
Yeah, I do think he has a good argument for being on there. I do think though, like when you say I talk to people and they have that he's one of the most beloved, in my personal experience, anecdotally, I find that that's only true like with millennials. Like my dad and my grandfather don't talk about Eric Berry the way that I do, even though they liked him. But like they are much quicker to go to somebody like Al Wilson than they are Eric Berry, which is just interesting. So
yeah.
Matt, can I guess your fourth one?
I would love for you to guess my fourth one because I don't think you're going to get it.
Okay. I'm going to say Tony Vitello.
Good guess. I thought about him. I almost listed an alternate, but his career was just too short. Even though he won a national championship, assuming he never comes back, his career was too short to be on there for me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good qualifier.
There are two that I think belong in this fourth spot. I only picked one. The person that I did not pick is Johnny Majors.
Yeah.
I thought Johnny Majors belonged.
He was in my short. He was on my short list. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought he belongs. I would argue, Joe, that Johnny Majors belongs from the way that I thought about it, even more than like Eric Berry or even Reggie White does. So because Johnny Majors has a big impact on college football as a whole, not just like being a Tennessee coach, obviously. But my fourth one is John Ward.
It's a great pick.
You win, Mac. That's great.
Thanks. Yeah.
Obviously, my list sucks. That's great.
Obviously,
that's great.
John Ward, the voice of the Vols, iconic. And that's the thing about John Ward is like not only is he someone that we love and that we grew up hearing talk about football, but like he is someone that like announcers have learned so much from. Like he set the tone for what it means to be a play-by-play guy in the booth on the radio that's like describing what's happening on the field in a way that is just more than just it's poetic. It truly is like a poetry just hearing
Yeah.
him speak and the way that he talks about it. I mean, there's just so many lines that John Ward has that we all remember. He was my fourth on the list.
Oh man.
Yeah, your Mount Rushmore is clad in big orange, and ours is
It
not.
is. It is.
That is a perfect pick.
Great pick.
I may have shared this with the listeners already, but when Nick first introduced me to Tennessee football and was sort of inculcating me in the culture, catechizing me into my current affections for the team, it was the voice of John Ward that, and all of the clips and highlights that he was showing me as he was walking me through the program's history. It was always the voice of John Ward that was in the videos. And I mean, just an absolute legend. I love, I mean, there's so many classic lines. I love the line though, where he's like, what did he do? He scored.
All he did was score.
All he did was score. Oh, dude, it's just so great.
Yeah. He's the man. He's the man.
That's a great pick. That's a great pick.
So I'm interested. I want to do it one more time, just off the cuff, everybody. All you can do is football players. All you can do is football players. So who would your four be if you could only choose Tennessee football players for the Mount Rushmore?
Nick, you start.
Well, Joe, I'm assuming you would still have Peyton Manning and Reggie White, right?
Peyton Manning, Reggie White.
Yeah. And then Nick, you would obviously still have Peyton.
Yep, Peyton and Reggie.
I also would still have Peyton. I also would put Reggie. So those two, it sounds like, are across the board for players. Yep. Who is the other two? Nick, go ahead. Who's your third?
Okay. Man, shooting from the hip. My third, I will go with Conrad Holloway.
Nice. Great pick. So I'm sure our listeners know this, but Conrad Holloway, the first black quarterback in the SEC, great quarterback at Tennessee. Obviously broke the color barrier, which is a big deal in the history of the SEC as a quarterback. But that gets talked about a lot. But it's not just that. Like he was a great player.
He was incredible. You don't break the color barrier unless you're incredible.
Right. Exactly.
Number 4. You want to go 3?
Yeah. I mean, my 3 is probably. I mean, we already talked about. I guess I would have to kind of still run with Eric Berry.
Yeah, that's fine.
For all the reasons I've already described. Although
I think that's a great pick.
Confident.
No, I mean that's a great pick. And to be frank, like I wouldn't. I'm not going to put Conrad Holloway on mine, though. I think that may be like objectively the right choice. The third guy I would put is Al Wilson. I already mentioned him once, but probably the greatest defensive player at Tennessee ever. If not, then Eric Berry is probably the answer. There's Reggie White's the answer. But aside from him, since he's already on the list, the other options would be Al Wilson or Eric Berry. And I'm not going to list the last guy because Nick might have him on his list. But
I'm struggling. Keep going.
Yeah, so Al Wilson would be my third choice. And then this is my list. I'm not saying this is objectively true, but my last pick, you guys are already going to know who it is. Number 7, the Iceman. So Casey Clausen is an all-time favorite player of mine. So he's on my list. He has to make my Mount Rushmore. So
I'm going to go with number 4. I'm going to go Jason Witten.
Oh, nice choice. Yeah, and obviously, Jason Witten is one of those guys. I mean, not to the level of Peyton Manning because he didn't play quarterback, but he's an NFL Hall of Famer, right? Like this guy is like, I mean, he's probably if not the best, he's one of the best tight ends that's ever played, ever. But also definitely in the 21st century, like he's probably the best tight end or one of them. So
that's my 4.
Joe, who's your last?
Man, this is tough. I mean, you already mentioned Johnny Majors. It's hard not to pick Johnny. Nah, I'm gonna go with my heart here. I'm gonna say Juwan. I'm gonna put Juwan.
Nice.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, he was a dog. I love watching him play.
Yeah.
He was, man.
Absolutely.
He was the only one for many years not hiding his light under a bushel at the University of Tennessee.
True. True. And like, if you were going to pick, like, let's say 2010 and beyond, like Juwan Jennings is probably one of the first names off the list.
Sure.
Like he
100%.
is elite in the last 15, 16 years. I mean, he's one of the best players ever come through here.
I mean, we went to Missouri that year and watched them play, and he just
beat Missouri by himself.
I mean, he was just an absolute dog. Yep. Love watching him play.
Yeah. So. Yeah, he's the man for sure. Well, yeah, that was great stuff, guys. Good content. So we're going to do more stuff like this, listener. Some other things I have planned coming up is we'll do some varying drafts. So we're going to do something like this, but we're going to draft. And so that will make people have to, adapt in the moment. I think that's going to be fun.
Everybody can't have Peyton Manning and Reggie White.
Yeah. Exactly. So it won't necessarily be players on Mount Rushmore, but things like that. So that's coming. Let's go ahead and get into questions on college football. The question for this week is, what coach is under the most pressure in 2026 for this coming football season? Joe, do you have an answer locked and loaded?
Yeah. When I read that question, the first name that came to my mind was Lane Kiffin. And I think that one of the reasons why I would pick him is
because you hate him. Yeah, we know.
Well, I hate his guts. Can't stand the guy.
Because you think he's the most overrated coach in college football.
I think he's the most. And I guess that's personal biases are playing in here. I guess that's one of the reasons why I think he's under a lot of pressure is because I think he's overrated, which I know is a hot take in many a circle. That he's got all this pressure to succeed, but. Let me make a small argument here. So Lane obviously has no problem finding the spotlight and putting himself in the crosshairs of public opinion, and that's happened recently with his comments about recruiting and such. And so like he has added, I think, unnecessary undue pressure with his behavior, which is kind of the part of the draw, right, of getting a guy like Lane is he's like that. So all that kind of comes with the territory. But the reason why I think he's under a ton of pressure is because of how successful Ole Miss was and the manner in which he left. I think that raises the stakes of him performing well at LSU. So, that's a top tier program. He's got and he left his previous program in such a controversial way as they were making a national championship run that I think the stakes are really high. And so yeah, I think he's who I picked, playing in the SEC, obviously. So the stakes are always high in that regard. So yeah, for all those reasons, I would say Lane Kiffin.
In 2026, though, it's year one, Joe.
Yeah, that's just where I'm at.
He ain't gonna get fired.
No.
Well, I that's fair. I don't think he would be fired if they had a bad year. I don't disagree with that, and maybe that makes it the wrong pick. I didn't think about the question that way. Maybe that's a better way to think about the question.
I mean, the question was open-ended intentionally. I want there to be some debate. So that's good. I mean, I'm glad you're bringing different things to the table.
Yeah, I was thinking more about, like, in the national spotlight, who has the most pressure to, make a national championship run, and I think that's Lane Kiffin.
This year, though.
Yeah, I think so.
See, I don't even think he has the most pressure to make a national championship run because it's year one. Like, I think if you said over the next 5 years, like, who has the most pressure, Lane Kiffin might be the right answer, or one of the right answer. But like, it's year one. Like, is LSU really going to be mad if he goes 10-2 and makes the playoff? Like, no, they're going to be thrilled. I don't know.
Yeah. What if they go 7? What if they win 7 games?
I think people would be mad and be like, "What the heck?" But I still don't think. I still don't think I don't think he's under the most pressure this year because he has no threat to lose his job at all. I don't
Yeah,
know how to.
yeah. That's fair, and that's maybe a good reason why he's not under the most pressure. I'd be curious to hear what y'all's picks are, because I didn't think about it in that regard. I was thinking more like what fan base and under the national spotlight has the highest expectations for a coach coming into the 26th season. I think that answer is Lane Kiffin, but I could be
Well,
wrong.
actually, to fit that question, I have an answer. This is not my answer for the original post question, but I'll circle back to that in a second. Nick, who's the coach that you feel like has the most pressure in 2026?
There's three guys rattling around in my head. Struggle to
Okay.
pick the right one, but I'm going to go with Steve Sarkisian.
It's a good pick.
Why do you pick him?
Because it's Texas. He hasn't won there yet, and he's got Arch Manning.
Yeah, so no need to circle back. This is it. That's who I would say, Joe, to answer your question. The thing that you just posed of like
Yeah,
who's under the most pressure in terms of national spotlight to win a national championship. That's like needs to take that next step and go elite. Steve Sarkisian to me is that answer.
yeah, that may be right. I don't know. Do you think that this is? I'm not necessarily saying you're wrong, Nick, but do you think that national hype and expectation for Arch Manning has gone down, or you think it's still as high as it was when he? There was a time when that's all anybody was talking about.
Yeah,
And
I think the conversation has shifted a little bit. I think now the conversation is like it's Arch Manning, and you better get more out of him than what you've gotten out of him so far.
So you think the pressure's on Sarkisian and not maybe Arch Manning isn't as good as we thought he was?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I agree with that, Nick. But to your point, Joe, I do think that people are talking less about Arch than they were. And it is because his play has been lackluster on the field. I mean,
Right.
if he would have had, even if Texas didn't win more games, if he would have just had a more competent season last year and looked like a more complete quarterback, I think the hype would be at an all-time high.
I agree.
And I think it is a little lower than it should be for that team with the talent they have because of the fact that Arch hasn't been as good as we maybe expected him to be.
Yeah. See, I wasn't sure if that gives him kind of if that lessens the pressure because my perception is that no one is because people's expectations have lowered with Arch Manning, and maybe that's not true. And maybe you're right, Nick. Maybe it's like, well, our expectations are lowering, but it's not because we think Arch Manning is not as good as we thought. It's because Steve's not getting out of him what he should
Right.
be getting out of him, which would that actually increases the pressure on Sarkisian.
Exactly.
So that I hadn't thought about it in those terms, but I would have thought maybe with the lessening of expectation on Arch Manning, then he doesn't actually have as much pressure. But yeah, that's good. What was yours, Mac?
My answer, and again, this just this feels to me like low hanging fruit. Like last week, I picked Nebraska, for being the team that's like stuck in the '90s, basically. A team that thinks that they're better than they are.
Well, you just reminded Joe of a gripe.
No,
yeah.
not a gripe. I was going to say when I was listening to the episode, one, I thought that was a really solid. That was solid, the Nebraska pick. But I was just brokenhearted because when you asked the question, I was listening to it driving to the gym. My mind immediately was like, well, it's Tennessee. it's us, And then you guys eventually got there, and
yeah.
I was just like, oh, this is terrible. I hate myself.
Yeah. And the answer might be Tennessee, man. I don't know. But no, my answer for the coach that's under the most pressure this year is Mike Norvell.
He was one of the three in my head.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Norvell is truly on the hottest seat in the country, I think.
Truly going to get fired if he doesn't make a college football playoff.
Yeah. Mike Norvell it's almost too easy of an answer to pick because it's like so obvious. Like he either has a good year or he's gone. So I think he's under the most pressure. You're at a school like Florida State that has the resources traditionally of the big SEC schools. Like you have to be better at Florida State than you've been. And Mike Norvell has done it to himself. Like they had a great year 2 years ago, but like that's because they hit on most of their transfer portal guys. Last year, they didn't hit on them. This year, they're going to do it again. So it's like he's just got to figure it out. And frankly, even if he goes 10-2 and makes the playoff this year, I don't think that his career is going to be sustained at a school like that, coaching the way that he is. You just cannot continue to survive with the transfer portal alone, I think. So
I agree.
I really feel like Mike Norvell is like one of the most obvious answers. Nick, I'm curious as to who the other guys you had. When you said Mike
Yeah,
Norvell,
I had
Steve
3.
Sarkisian, who is your third?
Yeah, my third, and I do think he is clearly third because I just think he's going to get so much. He's just going to get more patience than almost anyone in the country that's currently coaching because of what he's done. But I think Clemson's getting pretty tired of Dabo Swinney.
Yeah, yeah. I do think that's a good. I do think that's an appropriate choice, a good take. I think he's in the conversation. I just, even if they have another bad year, he's done enough. He's done enough that like
Totally agree.
I just don't think that he could get fired.
Yeah.
It would have to be
in
like
26. I do think he is on the Philip Fulmer path for resignation.
Yes,
in
agreed.
the sense that the game is outpacing him in the way that
Agreed.
it outpaced Phil Fulmer.
Yeah.
And so if he's still the coach 4 years from now, I'll be shocked.
Yeah. And that's that scenario I said with Joe regarding Lane Kiffin. Like if you went over the next 5 years, I think the guys we've mentioned are the right answers. Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian, Dabo Swinney. I think those 3 guys over the next 5 years have more pressure than even like Mike Norvell because like I don't think Mike Norvell is going to make it anyways.
Sure.
So I put Dabo Swinney there. I think specific to this year, the third guy that I had thought about but quickly marked off, but I do think is in the conversation is Lincoln Riley.
Good
So
pick.
Lincoln Riley at USC has been underwhelming. You know, he made Oklahoma pretty good. You know, with
I mean, they went to the playoff.
Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, obviously Jalen Hurts. He got him as a transfer, so there were some good years there. And Oklahoma obviously had a pretty good season last year with Brent Venables in that team. But like, I think Lincoln Riley at USC. I think this is a big year for him. Like if
they've been irrelevant.
Yes, if they don't make the playoff. Like, I would not be surprised if he's fired for the end of this year, which is crazy because like I don't know how much better USC could do, honestly. But like,
it also makes you wonder if how do they even get back?
I know.
Think of their last 3 coaches, like Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian, and Lincoln Riley.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if you can't, like, who else is out there? Like, who do you go hire to win?
Yeah.
They're gonna have to get like an up and coming like group of 5 coach. I think honestly, like, I mean, yeah, maybe they
can as good as Pete Carroll did.
Yeah, right. I mean, I really don't know what the path to success looks like for USC if it's not with Lincoln Riley. So I really think his seat's fairly hot. Not as hot as some of the other guys we mentioned, but I think he's under a lot of pressure this year, and he's got to get it done.
Agree.
So. All right. Well, that was a good segment, boys. Come back next week, listener. We'll talk more about questions on college football. I'll have a new question for you. And the last and the most fun segment for us is Rocky Top Roots. So Nick teased it last week. Tonight, Nick is going to be talking about General Robert Neyland, who's already got some airtime on this podcast due to the Mount Rushmore. But Nick, I'll turn it over to you.
Appreciate it. Yes, as was stated last week, Rocky Top Roots is focusing on General Robert Reese Neyland this week. And just as a reminder, we started with the logo because I tried to pick like what's most identifiable about the University of Tennessee. And I genuinely think that like Neyland Stadium is probably the second most identified. Like how many broadcasts have people watched that even aren't Tennessee fans, and it opens up with, we're coming to you live from Neyland Stadium on the banks of the Tennessee River. Like this is hallowed ground. This is hallowed ground here, Neyland Stadium, Shields Watkins Field. So yes, we are talking about General Neyland, and I'm just going to walk through his life and then let you guys comment, ask questions, whatever you want to do. So he's born February 17th, 1892. Okay, so think about the impact this guy's still having well over 100 years later, 1892. He died March 28th, 1962. He was born in Greenville, Texas, which is northeast of Dallas. To Robert Reese Neyland, who was a lawyer. His dad was a lawyer, lived 1859 to 1935. And his mother's name was Pauline Lewis Neyland. She lived from 1861 to 1932. He had an older sister, Carol, and a younger brother, Mayo, who died in 1969. His sister died in 65. His paternal grandfather, whose name was also Robert Reese Neyland, was a Confederate lieutenant colonel who was killed at the Battle of Shiloh in 1862, which is the largest battle in the largest battle took place in Tennessee, and it was the largest battle of the Civil War at the time that it took place in 1862. So after high school, Neyland passed a teaching certification test, and he worked as a substitute teacher at age 17. And he
Wow.
attended a now defunct, it is now gone, a college called Burleson College, which was in his hometown there in Northeast Dallas for a year. And he spent a year at Texas A&M before receiving a competitive appointment to the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. His father urged him toward law school, but Neyland pursued a military and athletic path instead. On July 16th, 1923, he married Ada Peggy Fitch, and she lived until 1976. She was born in 1897, and she was from Grand Rapids, Michigan. And he met her while she visited some friends at West Point while he was attending there. And they had two sons, Robert R. Neyland Jr., who I don't know if you caught this, but I remember when it was in the news, but he died just a few years ago, 2023. And then Lewis Neyland was the other son. He died in 2013, so it's been a little while. And the family lived in Knoxville during his whole Tennessee tenure. And both Neyland and his wife are buried in Knoxville National Cemetery. Neyland was a multi-sport star at the U.S. Military Academy. He was the class of 1916. He graduated 28th in his class of 125. He played lineman. He was a starting end. We didn't really have the tight end position yet. They were just called ends. And he was an end on the 1914 Army National Championship football team. And he pitched for the baseball team. And he won 35 games with 20 consecutive victories, including Army's first no-hitter. And he had a standout performance against Navy, which was notable because that was their rival. And he was a heavyweight boxing champion for his final 3 years. He turned down a professional baseball contract. He was there's actually a new biography, which I haven't read yet, but I do want to get that the biographer claims, this just came out about a month ago, but the biographer claims that he was the best college baseball player in the country. And he turned down a professional baseball contract for the New York Giants, reportedly $3,500, which at that time was a significant sum of money. But he was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers when he graduated in 1916. He served in France as an engineer during World War I. And then after the First World War, he earned a graduate engineering degree at MIT. And then he returned to West Point as an aide-de-camp to Superintendent Douglas MacArthur. Yes, General Douglas MacArthur. And he also assisted in coaching football, baseball, and boxing during this tenure. After that, he served on the U.S.-Mexican border during the Pancho Villa pursuit, and he rose quickly, becoming one of the youngest regimental commanders by age 27. His career included service in the Panama Canal Zone in the mid-1930s, and then during World War II, the China-Burma-India Theater, he oversaw a critical supply transport operation where they would move material over the Himalayas to support Joe Stilwell's forces amid like ongoing monsoons. Like it was a crazy, I don't understand all the details of it, but the port that he oversaw moving the supplies over the Himalayas during monsoon season, he actually said during his last year of life, someone asked him what he was most proud of, and he said he was most proud of this operation. He took one of just a port that was a train wreck, and he turned it into the greatest military port during the war.
Wow.
He received decorations for this, including the U.S. Distinguished Service Medal and Legion of Merit, plus honors from British and Chinese governments who were allied with us during World War II. And he was made a member of the Order of the British Empire, and he retired as a brigadier general. And his military experiences, of course, as you might imagine, directly informed, and this is a quote from him, football as a war game. He called football a war game, and that was his philosophy. And so he treated football prep, execution, intelligence. He even brought intelligence into it. So scouting and watching film, which is something, of course, everyone does now and has done for a long time. This is arguable, but some sources will argue that he was the first to use film to scout. There are some sources that say there was a guy, I think his name was Sid Gillum at the University of Cincinnati, but he's definitely at least one of the first. And he did put it in a category militarily. He broke all his strategies into military categories, and scouting and film was intelligence. Logistics, psychological factors with strategic rigor, and those are detailed in his own personal journals, which you can find, listener, if you want to learn more. Um, he doesn't have a lot publicly about his own personal Christian faith, but the family had a history of being in the church, being a part of Christ Church, and one of his I want to make sure I get this right. Yeah, his son Robert Jr. when he died a few years ago was described as living and dying with deep Christian faith, and said that his family had always attended church, which suggests they had a household faith environment. Specifically, as it revolves around the University of Tennessee, Neyland joined the University of Tennessee in 1925 as an assistant coach and a professor of military science with the ROTC program. And he became head coach and athletic director the next year in 1926. And he served as the head coach for 3 stints from 26 to 34. Took a year off, came back 36 to 40, and then 46 to 52. And those stints were, of course, interrupted by military duty. His overall record was 173, 31, and 12, which for you listener means he had a winning percentage of .829. So he basically won 83% of his games. He coached 109 shutouts, 173 wins, 109 shutouts, 6 undefeated seasons, 9 undefeated regular seasons, 7 conference titles, part of those in the Southern Conference and then later the Southeastern Conference, and then 4 claimed national championships, with arguably the most impressive being 1951. It was undisputed. That was back in the weird days where the media picked the national championships, as we all know. His teams featured long undefeated streaks. They had 2 streaks, one of 33, one of 28 games, and defensive dominance. They had 17 consecutive regular season shutouts from 1938 to 1940. It spanned into 3 seasons. And the 1939 team, of course, based on that, it means they shut out every regular season opponent, which was a record. No one scored on them in the regular season in 1939. He emphasized speed over strength. They ran a single wing offense, and he emphasized defensive fundamentals. Innovations that he implemented at Tennessee that if he wasn't the first, they were early for all of college football, were using sideline telephones, studying game film, wearing lighter weight pads and tearaway jerseys, and then he implemented using field protection tarps to protect the field, which was a first. And he after he stopped being the head coach, he chaired the NCAA football rules committee later in his life. We could use someone to chair the NCAA football rules committee.
Seriously.
Like General Neyland right now. And then, of course, he actually developed 38 team maxims, but 7 of them became so popular that even to this very day, the team still recites them before every game. And they are as follows: the team that makes the fewest mistakes will win, play for and make the breaks, and when one comes your way, score. If at first the game or the breaks go against you, don't let up. Put on more steam. Protect our kickers, our QB, our lead, and our ball game. Ball, oski, cover, block, cut, and slice. Pursue and gang tackle, for this is the winning edge. Press the kicking game. Here's where the breaks are made. And the last one, carry the fight to our opponent and keep it there for 60 minutes. Those are Neyland's famous 7-game maxims. He did develop 38 total. You can read those at his own personal journals. But they reveal meticulous practice planning, psychological strategies. He would train the players on rules and guidelines that they could use to their advantage. And again, he viewed football as analogous to military campaigns. And so he stepped down as a coach after the 1952 season, but he stayed on as the athletic director until he died. And Neyland Stadium, which he expanded, it was greatly expanded per his own designs, was named in his honor in 1962, and he was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1956. He died of liver cancer in New Orleans on March 28, 1962. He was 70 years old. And, of course, the Neyland Scholarship Fund was established posthumously in his name, and the stadium expansion finished shortly before his death. And, of course, his legacy endures and hangs over every University of Tennessee football game. He's taking a knee right outside of the stadium with his statue, even right now. And so that is our very own General Robert Neyland.
Wow. Thank you, Nick, for putting that together. That was awesome. Man, what a legacy, dude. I mean, like, so many of those things is just like, yeah, I mean, the men are just not cut from the same cloth anymore, man. I
Nope.
mean, like, that guy is like a hero beyond just what he did at Tennessee, and you always, not always. I tend to forget that, and you think about his impact at the university. His impact was probably even greater across our country, and then also specifically, for the branch of service which he served, and then the units which he led. So, man, that was good. That was good.
Yeah.
I would say another disqualifying marker for being a host on this podcast is mispronouncing General's last name. It is Neyland, not Neyland. So if you're saying
a long-standing debate,
if you're saying it wrong, you don't get to be a host on the podcast. No, but thank you, Nick, for putting that together. That what a legacy of absolute dominance. I mean, yeah, Mac, you said they don't come from the same cloth anymore.
Can you imagine any college football coach now having any kind of pedigree like that? Like,
I mean, I think about the kind of discipline, personal and professional, that it would require that kind of level of success, and what a testament to his own upbringing, his own virtue, and then the way that he instilled that in all the people that he served, whether that was on, whether that was a port, in the Great War, or, on the football field. He just dominated everything that he set his hand to. He was going to win. And, the maxims are, those are maxims.
Legendary. I mean, just legendary. Sacred.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a Tennessee football coach and you don't recite General Neyland's maxims, then like fire it immediately. Like, it's a fireable offense. So
absolutely.
You know which coach didn't want to recite General Neyland's maxims, right?
Was that Derek Dooley? Butch Jones?
Nope.
Cornbread?
Lane Kiffin.
Get him out of here! Get him out of here! I hate that guy. I hope he loses every football game he ever coaches. I can't stand Lane Kiffin. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I didn't remember that.
I didn't need another reason to hate this man, but I got it, and I love the reason to hate this man. I can't stand this guy.
Yep, I knew you'd like that one, Joe. Yep. When Lane Kiffin came to campus, he did not want to do General Neyland's maxims before the game.
We'll have a segment at some point. Who's your most hated figure in college sports? And it'll just be people be in suspense for me and Matt, because everybody will be like, "Oh, it's Danny White for Jeff, and it's Lane Kiffin for Joe."
Exactly. No, but yeah, I mean, I'm interested. So I think about just like obviously it's easy to look at like someone like him and just be enthralled with like all the things he accomplished. But, just again, personal experience, like it's crazy that I think it was the fifth or sixth maxim that you read, Nick. Can you look at that one again? It's the one that says Oski in it. What's that one say?
Ball, Oski, cover, block, cut, and slice, pursue, and gang tackle.
Is that 5 or 6?
That is 5.
5. Yeah. So, when I was playing football growing up, I remember my first football practice like in pads, and we were doing like secondary drills, and we were required at the time. This is like 2007. We were required to when the quarterback dropped back to pass, we were all required to yell ball, 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 and then the whole drill was like you're getting an interception, and what the defense is supposed to yell when an interception is made is Oski. And I remember hearing that, and it was like the first time in my life where it actually clicked, like what that means. And there are like high schools, universities are still using this term on the field to communicate when your team has intercepted the football. And like to think that like a universal kind of football term from people who know it just deeper than watching on TV originated from our coach, from General Neyland, is like still used today is pretty cool.
Yeah, we yelled Oski when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
We did Oski. We did tip drills every day, and you tip it. Guy behind you grabs the ball, yells Oski, and the whole team's going the other direction.
Yep. Pretty cool.
Absolute legend. So, for you guys who know more about the history of college football than I do, how does Neyland's success stack up against, Bear Bryant and other legendary college football coaches?
Well, Bear Bryant never beat General Neyland, so
I love it.
Now, I don't think they ever. I could be wrong about this. I don't think they ever played while Bear was younger in his career. Neyland was towards the end, and I think this was mostly when Bear was at Kentucky.
It was all at Kentucky. Yeah.
All at Kentucky, yeah. But he never beat him.
Sells it for me.
Yeah. No, I don't.
Everybody yells Oski, and that's like that was. I think that was Neyland's dog's name. He would throw the ball to his dog Oski. He would say "ball, Oski, ball," and he would bring him the ball.
That's amazing.
And now everyone just says Oski. So
yep. That's pretty crazy, dude. I mean, that's the one where it's like that's just a shaping of like a whole multiple generations of like football, like, and it's just such a simple thing, but it has a huge impact. So it's crazy.
Yep.
Nick, what was the most like what was the one thing, if you can boil it down to one thing, like the most surprising thing you read that you maybe didn't know before?
The most surprising thing that I've read. I've read and watched documentaries about General Neyland before. I mean, I guess I was most shocked by like the biographer that said that the thing he was most proud of was the military port expedition in Burma. It makes sense to me why that would be, and obviously we all know about his military career, but I just think of him as University of Tennessee football coach. So I think it just says a lot to me that he had to have known how legendary of a coach he was, and that just wasn't the thing that was most important to him. It was that he had done this great thing for his country. And so I think that was probably, if not like the most shocking thing, like the thing that that just tells me a lot about him. So
yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I didn't know, that he had said that, obviously, but I also didn't know, how all the things that he had accomplished in his military career. I just knew that he was a general in the military and knew that he had a good career, but like the specific details of his accomplishments and what he was able to do while in service, is fascinating. I
was pretty shocked that he was also a camp aide to Douglas MacArthur. I was like, that's pretty wild. I mean, it makes sense because that's that era, and he was, and MacArthur was obviously a general, World War II, and Neyland ended up being a brigadier general. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that there's any other name that could possibly earn a spot on as the name of the stadium? Like, is there anybody else that's even close in contention to like the stadium could be named after them?
I don't think so. I mean, a whole year where no one scored on you. I mean, it's a totally different era of football. Like that'll never happen again, obviously.
Right.
I don't even know what the equivalent of that would be today, though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what could you do that would be the equivalent of that could span 3 seasons? Like even a winning, like it's hard to even have a winning streak that spans into 3 seasons now. Like, I don't even know if that's possible anymore. So,
right. One thing that was interesting, that I was thinking about when you were reading all of his history, Nick, was, we've recently talked about the great Sewanee team from the early 1900s, and their accomplishments and how, they went on this long train ride and played all these significant, kind of powerhouse SEC teams at the time, and still household names now, like Texas, like Ole Miss, LSU,
played Alabama,
like
Mississippi State. Yep.
Right. And thinking about like how significant that season was for them, right? And I think they had a lot of shutout games. They only gave up a few points in some of their games.
I think Auburn scored 10 on them or 6
Right.
or something that year.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we think about that team, and obviously they're impressive because of their name now, right? Like Sewanee is not like a household college football name. If you're from the state of Tennessee, you probably know about the history of that team and have probably heard about that. But to think that like
they
Robert
make a
Neyland,
cameo on SEC Shorts every once in a while if you watch those videos.
that's true.
So.
But to think that like that Robert Neyland did that, but basically, like you said, did it over 3 seasons and also was shutting teams out is absolutely insane.
It's insane.
Yeah, like obviously probably more resources. They didn't have to do the long train ride. Like I get all the things, but like
Sure.
the fact that he still was able to do all of that over the span of multiple seasons in that same similar time just speaks to how great he is. Even one of these teams that's considered like one of the greatest college football teams of all time, he had teams that were by far better than that.
Yeah. And just like all the innovations, like I don't even know. Obviously, there's probably like diminishing returns. Like, I mean, this was 100 years ago. Like he was coaching. He became the coach of the University of Tennessee 101 years ago. Like that's crazy. And so there are ways that you could innovate, of course, then that like 100 years later you can't. Like I don't even know what it would look like to innovate the game of college football. Those things still happen, but they almost feel more just like tweaks than like full-blown innovations or overhauls or like using new technology and stuff like that. I'm sure that stuff, like, I don't know, is there a way that AI will change college football? Like probably, but, the fact that he was an innovator because he used sideline telephones. Like that's just crazy because everybody like now they're watching stuff on the iPad all the time on the sideline,
Right.
So,
yeah. Yeah, his impact you can't even put words to it really. His impact of not just the university but the game as a whole. Wow, yeah, I mean, just fascinating history and fascinating character across the history of all of college football, really. But we're blessed to be able to call him our coach, So
yeah, we are. And like to your earlier question, like, could anyone ever replace his name on the stadium? I mean, if so, that's probably 100 more years from now. Like,
yeah,
who knows what will be going on in the world 100 years from now if the Lord tarries? But that's what it'll probably take.
If Jeff were here, he'd say, "Guys, it's not going to take 100 years; it'll only take 10, and it's going to be replaced by like Samsung Stadium or something like that."
Yeah, he might not be wrong about that. So he'll be like, "Boys, if college football's still around 100 years from now, I'll be shocked."
Yeah, right. Oh man. Oh gosh.
Danny White's going to figure out a way to make himself immortal, and he's still going to be the athletic director 100 years from now. But Jeff's going to be haunting him. He's going to be a ghost. It's just going to be haunting him.
Yeah, adrenochrome is powerful stuff, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Golly. Oh man. Well, boys, any other questions for Nick or anything else we want to talk about General Neyland?
No, just he's a legend. It's awesome.
I mean, even like this is kind of a deep cut, but like even if you're like us and you follow the various Vols like news sources, then you know that VolQuest is one of the bigger ones we reference on here a lot. We listen to their podcast and they have a message board, and their message board is called the General's Quarters. And so like he's just another point of like how his lore lives on, And you still hear stories about like there's still old timers that'll talk about like I met General Neyland one time and this is what he was like, people that were alive in the 50s and 60s, So
yeah. So Nick, I'm curious, just tying this back into our Rocky Top Root segment from last week. What logo did General Neyland use in his time at the university? Was it always the Power T?
So no, I think trying to remember the timeline. Doug Dickey was the one that officially put the Power T on the side. I think back then it was just numbers on the side of the helmet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think it was orange stripe with numbers. And this was before the current orange. It was more like I hate to say it was more like a Texas orange, but it was just darker. It wasn't the vibrant orange now because that came about because of television. So
Right.
color television specifically.
Right. Yeah, man. All right. Well, Nick, plug our socials for us, man.
Absolutely. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on X at volatile_1998. And you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Go ahead and subscribe and share with your friends. The summer's a good time to start listening because you can ride the good vibes of Mount Rushmores, and you're drafting your team and thinking about the best of days with General Neyland and the lore before the train crashes through the bridge out sign that is the 2026 Tennessee football season, and then just cascades headlong into a ravine. So that was a good time to get on.
Absolutely. Remember, listener, is terminal.